Good evening and a very warm welcome to the Grassroots Weekender show, and as you can see I'm joined by young commentators. It's their show, Dan and Jayden, and we've got a special guest in the studio which is no other than Stephen Smith. Absolutely brilliant, one of the four boxers who brought this city to life, to be honest. He really did, and they did put us on the map. Now obviously Steve is retired, but the lads have got their questions ready and I'm waiting to hear them as well, because I've not heard them, and I'm sure Steve is as well. But I'll just start off with the lads, Steve. I'll just break the ice a little bit. And is it something like to be, what is it like to be part of the nation's most remarkable boxing family?
To be honest with you, obviously I've never known different. I always had my elder brother Paul box before me, so I've never known it not to have them there. And as I've been up and had my experience in boxing, throughout my life, I've found myself being very privileged and very blessed to have my brothers, because I've realised how tough a sport it is and how much it gets lonely at times, because it's an individual sport, and there's times with weight making and after a loss and stuff where it's the toughest sport in the world in my opinion. And having brothers that have gone through it, been through it with you, it's an unbelievable thing, and I couldn't wish for more. So again, just count my blessings that I've got them, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
Fantastic. Now I'll hand it over to the lads. I'm sure you're ready for this, and we'll start off with Dan for this first question.
Yes, welcome to Voice Box, and my first question for you: when you start growing up and starting boxing, who was your inspiration?
It's like a double-barreled question, that, because once I was got into boxing and started boxing, Sugar Ray Leonard was my hero, and he was my favourite ever boxer. He still is. He's the best that's ever done it, in my opinion. And he was someone who I loved watching. We used to watch a video as kids called The Fabulous Four, which was Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran and Thomas Tipman Haynes, and we used to love watching them four. That video was on in our house every day. So he was my inspiration in boxing. But if I'm honest, before I sort of got into boxing and we was sort of mad into it, the one I used to always sort of run home to watch was Nazim Ahmed. He was the one that sort of built up boxing in my head, where he's the one who I used to race home and try and watch, because just about the excitement he brought to boxing. And a lot of people didn't like the showboating side of him, but I loved the energy he brought to boxing. So he was one that got me watching it. But my idol was Sugar Ray Leonard.
Nice one. And Jayden?
So, you've had a lot of fights.
Yeah.
And out of all of them, which would you say is your hardest ever opponent you've ever had?
Again, tough question in terms of hardest. If it was the best, the best I ever fought, on paper it was probably I boxed a Russian opponent called Alexei Dichenko, who was two-time Olympic gold medalist, so he was a top fighter. But in terms of being in with them and class levels as an amateur, I love Frankie Gavin. I think Frankie Gavin was the best amateur I ever got in the ring with. But throughout my pro career, the toughest night I ever had, the toughest fight I ever had was probably Jason Souza in Monte Carlo. It was a tough 12 rounds where I was weighing blood after the fight and stuff. It was that physically demanding on my body.
Yeah.
So that was a tough night for me. But back to the question, best I faced. The only other time I got in the ring once and I thought, wow, you're better than I thought, was against Jose Pedraza, and that was my first world title fight. And I remember being in, and he was just little things he'd done. I remember like subtle movements. I thought, wow, you're a lot better than I thought. So I think for class levels, he was really good, and it's gone on and shown his career now, because he's chasing his third weight world titles.
Going when you're saying the toughest opponent, I was thinking, because I know we were researching last night, you've only lost 4 matches.
Yeah.
Who was the toughest out of them?
Again, I only lost to 4 world champions, so the only people who ever beat me was world champions. Went to win world titles, so it's a sort of a proud thing for me that I only really lost to the best. But again, being in there, I only lost sort of that distance once to Lee Selby, but I still think that was a lot of it at the time. He went on to do great things and become a very good world champion. But at the time, I was the favourite going into that fight, and I just believe it just time I featherweight, overtraining, whatever it may have been, it just wasn't me on the night. I remember looking to the ring card girl and like she had around 3 up. I was wondering why I was exhausted, and things didn't go well, but you know, I really beat what was in front of them Monday night, but the only person I ever got in with and thought like, wow, when I was in there, you're better than I thought again, was Rosie Pedraza, so I've got to give him, you know, every credit for how he showed up that night, and you know, he defended his title well.
Yes.
Jayden?
So you've had, like, out of all of them fights, like out of every single one, every loss, every win, what is your most proudest one? Like, you think you've done the best out of?
There was, again, two answers. Throughout my amateur career, winning the gold medal in the Commonwealth Games was a very, very proud moment for me, because I knew all my family were the other side of the world, and they was getting up at like 3 in the morning and stuff to watch me. My dad was with me out there watching in the arena, but you know, the rest of my family were all at home. So I remember like doing little hand gestures, knowing like my brothers, like I was doing something like with a laugh with Callum at the time, and knowing they were watching that on telly was a very, very proud moment for me. And then as a professional, it was sort of the second British title I won. I was an underdog going into the fight, and it was on my son's first birthday. So when I got offered the fight, and he said it was the 17th of August, which is Frankie's birthday, I knew I wouldn't lose on that date. I've got an obsession with numbers, and I just thought there's no way in the world to lose that day, so I took the fight, even though I was supposedly not meant to win supposedly, and it was just something that clicked with me. And that night I just thought I won't lose that night. And with it being his first birthday, it's just always something that will stick in my moments. In my head's a proud moment, because it could have been a lot different if he was laughing at me now saying I lost on his first birthday, so I'll keep that one.
So say when you're saying Commonwealth gold medal, how many medals have you actually won?
I don't know, you'd have to go into my mum's loft and get them all. I had 152 amateur fights, and I think 80 odd were internationals. So out of the 80 odd internationals I had done a lot of different multi-nations, so you always got medals in them, and I couldn't tell you. I've seen a lot of the world thanks to boxing, and you know, I'm very blessed in that way, and some of the countries I've boxed in have been, you know, unbelievable and really great experience for me, and it's helped me get to see the world. But the Commonwealth Gold was always my favourite one, but I did have a lot of amazing trips, and one that probably sticks in mind for me was probably in New Delhi, where you know, I got to see how rough it was in some other places, and how poor other people was and underprivileged. So and again, just back to it, I couldn't tell you how many medals I got, but it was a lot. Yeah.
Excuse me, too many to count.
Definitely, yeah.
So you have a nickname called Swifty. So is there any story behind like the Swifty nickname, or is it just? Yeah,
if you read the papers when I fought, it was always like Swifty by name, Swifty by nature, because I'd winning the rounds or whatever, and it was sort of made out that it was because I was so fast and stuff, but it had nothing to do with it really. And in our house, as I say, four lads, we used to always have boxing on the telly, whether it be the Fabulous Four or, you know, we'd be watching the Rocky movies, and in Rocky 2 there's a part in it where he's outside his house on his knees playing baseball with the kids in the street, and one of the kids in the street like shaking his bum at him and like throwing the ball, and he goes, "Throw the ball, Swifty," and my dad used to always say I looked like him, so it literally came from there, and it stuck from when I was a kid, but then I sort of carried it into boxing just as a play on it.
Came from a kid shaking his bum and
yeah.
Yeah.
It was because I looked like that kid on Rocky, and you know, Callum's nickname is Mundo, and Mundo means world in Spanish, and everyone thinks it's because he's like world class, and it's not to do with boxing. Callum was obsessed with the turtles as a kid, so there was like Leonardo, Donatello, and we used to call him Callum. My dad used to call him Callum Mundo.
Did you say Liam was obsessed, because you seem to have rattled those names off well there?
No, yeah, no, I just forgot. Like Callum was upset. They were always on in our house, so we all knew them, we all watched it. But Callum literally thought he was a turtle, and Callum's got webbed toes, which not many people know. And it's like a turtle, we call them turtle toes, yeah. So Callum really thought he was a turtle growing up. He used to have his little backpack on, and he was obsessed. Like, so my dad called him. He said Leonardo, Donatello, and Callum Mundo, and that was his name. Where Mundo come from? It just went from Mundo for short. So again, Callum started boxing, ended up being world champion, and everyone thought it was, you know, because of like the Spanish-speaking countries, that it was down to be something to do with world in Spanish, but again, absolutely not to do with boxing.
So your dad influenced a lot of
my
nicknames?
dad called Liam Beefy as well, and that was just because he was a big kid. He was a tank as a kid early, and so we still always call him Beefy. And we ended up getting a bulldog as a family pet, and we called the dog Beefy as well.
I'm a bulldog.
Yeah. Everyone thinks Liam was called Beefy after the bulldog, but it was called Beefy after Liam.
He's got it.
Thanks for that.
Oh, now they all know.
Yeah.
Finding things out now, lads, look.
Yeah. Yeah. And with all your matches played, what's your favourite way to win them?
It's nice to win as quick as you can win, so obviously winning by knockout is the best, but as you get a little bit older and you sort of become a dad and stuff, you do start to worry about health things, so it does get a little bit nerve-wracking when you see someone go down. Obviously you worry about them, see if they're okay and stuff, and it's not nice at the time. When you see they're up and they're okay, it is a good feeling to win by knockout, because you know, getting a fight over as quick as you can is always the best way to get on quicker.
Get it over and done with.
Yeah, get it done with.
So, you started in the featherweight division, and then you went to super featherweight, sorry.
Yeah.
So, how was that transition like? Was it harder than you thought, or was it like kind of the same?
It was, to be honest with you, it was overdue. As I said before about the Selby fight, I think I stayed at featherweight too long. I won the Commonwealth Games in the amateurs of feather. I had a lot of tournaments at featherweight and I turned pro at featherweight, so I think I maybe held the weight a little bit too long, and possibly should have done it sooner. But when I went to super feather, it felt a lot more comfortable for me. I felt a better transition. I felt like I'd done the weight a lot better. But in terms of was it much different, I still trained the same, I still dieted the same, I just didn't have to go as extreme with like the weight cut, with sweating out and dehydrating and stuff. So I felt like my body matured a lot better being at the weight, even though it's only £4, there's not much difference in weight.
Yeah.
But I just felt a lot more comfortable and a lot more stronger when I fought. Sometimes in the fight of feather, I felt like I left a lot in the gym and in the weight cuts where I wasn't as strong. I'd be sparring in the gym and feel $1 million in it. Get in the ring and wasn't as strong, because when you deplete yourself too much, sometimes it's really hard to rehydrate properly and get all your energy back in you. So I felt like 9-4 I could do it a lot easier, and I felt a lot stronger in the fight.
Yeah, that's good reason.
And my final question's there now. So, out of the 4 brothers,
Yeah.
if you were all the same age, who do you think would, like, in a mini tournament, who do you think would come out on top?
All the same age and weight?
Yeah.
Me.
Maybe saying that, yeah, you can't just...
See, they're not here, she's defending themselves.
No, honest to God, like, it's a tough question, because obviously a lot of people ask us who's the best, and it's different, but I've never been asked it that way. If we were all the same age and weight, that'd be dead interesting, but I'd like to see it, do you know what I mean, because we're all very different. Paul punches harder than any of us. Paul's got the biggest punch, but I think I've got probably the best movement and legs. Then I think Liam's got the best variety, but I think Carl's got the best technique. We've all got strong areas. If you combine the 4 of us, you probably have an unbelievable fighter. But regarding your question, I don't know, I've always said, I always sort of sway towards Callum being the best, just because of his technique, his non-punching hand things he does, which is very hard to do. As like when he throws a punch, his non-punching hands here, so if he was to miss, he still doesn't get it. Where if I'm throwing a punch hand like that, I'll go into the fight, and if I miss, I can get it myself. And little subtle things he does is very good, and obviously he can punch hard as well, which is knockout ratio tells you so. So I don't know. If someone asked me if my brothers were all here, I'd say me, because I'd have to back myself. But
Yeah.
hands on heart, if I had to answer someone, I'd probably sway towards Callum.
Callum, nice one.
Nice.
That was my favourite question for me to write, but now your final one.
Yeah, so you've won a couple of titles
Yeah.
and a lot of medals. So out of all of them, including titles and medals, what's your favourite title or medal win?
Again, amateur or Commonwealth Games, it was a massive thing, because it was a massive event. We go to a lot of boxing tournaments, and I've seen the world, I've boxed all over the world, and I've never been in a multi-sport event like that, where I was sitting in the athletes in the athlete village. They have like a big sort of place where you can go for your food, and you go in, and it's like a big Asda, it's massive, but everything's free in there. It's just for the athletes, so you walk in and you can eat what you want and stuff, but obviously boxers you can't really eat. I was eating little tiny bits of food, and I'd be sitting on the same table as like shop putters who were just on like 3 plates of food and stuff, and it was so tough, so like demanding on you, and you had to be really dedicated in there. So it was massive. I didn't realise how big it was, so that was probably my most like a special one to me, because I was on my own again. My dad was out there, but none of them in my family. But as a pro, I was winning the British title on my son's first birthday. Just going back to my hotel room with my wife and my son and just thinking, wow, I did it. You know, like I couldn't have lost that day, I couldn't have lived with it. So having done it and having the belt to show for it meant a lot to me.
And, go on,
Yeah.
You got more, go on.
That's our questions done.
It's your question's done, but I'm sure you're going to add to them. But I'll add to them, you know, because obviously it's all interesting, isn't it? Steve, how did you feel when the time came with the old Paul, I think it was last year, when you decided to hang the gloves up?
It still kills me now, I still miss it like mad, and it sort of hurt me more just because I feel like I retired because of COVID. I wasn't ready to retire. I won my last 3 fights and was ready to sort of for another shot at some kind of title or a big push towards trying to get that elusive world title. And when COVID happened, I thought, oh, 34, I thought it's the wrong time really to be having a year, 2 years out the ring. I didn't know how long it was going to be, you know. No one knew what was going on, and I remember just lying in bed with my wife, I think I'm going to retire, and she was like, what? And I said, I'm going to have to, I don't think I can, you know, have the time to sit out the ring. You know, once you're in your 30s, it's a lot different making weight. You can't really afford to be having time doing nothing. And I sort of retired after that, and once a year or two went by and boxing's back up and running and back normal again. I call in the gym now, watching Liam and Callum sparring and stuff, and I'm standing there and I'm shadow boxing and stuff, and I miss it like mad. And I won't go in the gym and train that because just the same reason. I just think I just don't want to try and distance myself and be away from it, because I'd love nothing more than to still box, do you know what I mean? But it's life after boxing is tough. You've got to sort of occupy your time, and I think that's where I'm sort of at now. It's like, it's been a lot of down days for me where I do miss it, but I just need to find that one thing where I can put my time and efforts into, and if I can be as dedicated as I was in my boxing, then I'll make a success of whatever I do.
Yeah, obviously you will do, because as well as having the inspiration with the brothers behind it, I'm sure you're all very close-knit and suggesting things that you can all do together. And
yeah, definitely, and I think, again, blessed to have my brothers, because I know if I do, you know, whatever I do commit to and I decide what I'm going to do, I know I've got my brothers back at me, and, you know, if I ever need them, they're there for me. So whatever it may be, what I decide to, I've made a few decisions now, and I'm in the process of sort of getting things moving where whatever it is that I decide I'm going to do, I think I'll have good support base behind me either way.
Oh, but I'm sure you got the whole of Liverpool behind whatever you
good.
decide to do, because they've been brilliant, haven't they?
Definitely.
The fans supporting you. What's it been like with all the fans? You know, the messages that you get. I see it all over social media. It must inspire you to fight.
It's unbelievable, like especially on fight nights and fight weekends. The support we get as a family is unbelievable, because it's a mad feeling, because although it's not your own fight, sometimes it's worse when it's your brothers, and you know, you're so nervous, and I get more nervous when my brothers box than when I do myself. So the only difference being, when it's your brothers, you sort of you take more of it in, even though you probably don't see as much of it, because obviously when it's you, you're getting tagged and everything, do you know what I mean? And when it's your brothers, they're tagging them, but you do oversee a lot of things, and you see the support, and it does make you feel good. And as you said, it sort of makes you go in the ring thinking, like, I've got to win this, do you know what I mean? It's not like sort of the lonely side of boxing sort of goes out of it when you see how many people are behind you, how many people are supporting you. It does make it a lot better, and a lot easier to get out of bed in the morning and go and get the miles in, knowing there's people behind you supporting you and want you to do well. And you know, a lot of people say, like, you know, do it to prove people wrong and all that. I've never really been of that mentality. I don't really care about people who, you know, people don't want you to win, then that's their choice. I don't really care about that. I'm more for people who are supporting us and people who are backing us myself. I don't really believe in like the negative thing, like shut them up and all that. I just think leave them to it. I think I'd rather go in there, win my fight, and be happy with the people who are happy for me, do you know what I mean?
Brilliant, yeah. Now, obviously there's young lads and, well, young ladies as well now.
Yeah.
For a young up-and-coming boxer, or someone who's thinking about taking up the sport, taking up the gloves, what advice would you give them?
Again, depending on the age, obviously, but if I have to put them at the age, I'd always say enjoy it. I go in the amateur gym a lot now. Frankie's been going down there a bit, and I just say, look, are you enjoying it? And that's the first and foremost. You've got to enjoy what you do, because the minute it starts becoming like a chore and you're not happy about it, you won't succeed, because you just want to get home. And I think being there and enjoying it is the first thing, and you know, the main thing about it. You've got to enjoy it, and you'll learn while you're enjoying it. It's the same with football. You see, I always say to our Frankie when he's playing football, he looks at me at the side and I'm going like that, smile, and he knows what I mean. I always tell him he's such a good player when he's happy. the minute he starts kicking the floor and getting upset with himself, he may as well not be there. And it's the same in boxing. If you're happy and you're enjoying your training, you're learning everything your coach tells you, you'll try and you'll practice and you'll pick up and you'll improve. The minute you're like looking at the clock wanting to go home and you're unhappy and you're not enjoying it, you won't learn nothing, you won't enjoy nothing because you won't improve because you're not enjoying it. So again, first and foremost, my biggest advice would be just enjoy yourself, try and enjoy it, try and take it in. And secondly, just don't put as much pressure on yourself. If I could go back and do my career again, I wouldn't put as much pressure on myself. Like, I got really badly superstitious as a kid. I never lost a fight for like 2 years, but I used to turn up to each fight with like the same clothes on and fight in the same kit because I believed that it was my lucky clothes and my lucky kit and my lucky boots. Boots were tiny on me by the end of 2 years, you know what I mean? The trackie was going up my legs and that, but I wouldn't not wear it because I believed that I was winning fights because I had these lucky boots on and lucky. And I say to my kids now, Frankie plays football, and I say to him, mate, it's nothing to do with the boots, it's you. Oh, Dad, I want to wear them ones. I say, don't wear them ones. And I don't want them getting them superstitions I have because it plays a big part in it. Like the mental side of it is massive anyway. So you don't need any sort of superstitions, you know what I mean, when it's basically down to yourself. It's about you turning up and you performing and that's it, you know what I mean?
Oh, brilliant. Just one more now, just to finish off.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know how
on.
you said you were superstition in the ring?
Yeah.
Did you, no, superstitious, did you ever feel anything in the ring? Did you completely zone out and then just aim for the
No,
win?
do you know what, mate? It's completely natural to be nervous before a fight, and I say to people now starting off, you know, don't worry, he's nervous as well. It's completely normal. Like if we're fighting, we're two boxers and we're both fighting, we're both warming up in our own changing room, I guarantee you're nervous and I guarantee you I am. It's completely normal, and nerves help you and nerves keep you sharp. But once you get in, it's weird, the bell goes and you sort of focused on what your game plan is and what you're meant to be doing and what you've been working on with your coach. You're just thinking of if I've been working on my coach that you've got a lazy left hand. Every time you throw your left hand goes low. I'm waiting for you to throw left hand so I can lean back and hit you over it. So I'm concentrating and focusing, going where's his left, and I'm looking for what I've been working on in my head. So you don't really have time to get nervous. The nerves will go the minute the bell rings, but when you're watching, you're still nervous all through the fight. That's why I say it's worse watching my brothers than it is fighting myself, because the nerves just don't go until the bell goes up, until the fight's over.
Yeah.
Did you have one more there, Dan?
Yeah, if boxing or any like martial arts or self-defense sports, any of them didn't exist, what would your go-to sport be?
My go-to sport would always have been football, but I just wasn't as good at it, do you know what I mean? I tried as a kid, same as everyone tries to play football, and
Like me.
I was just fit, I used to run everywhere, but I wasn't the best of footballers, do you know what I mean? And again, I go back to my sons now, I say to my sons when they're playing football, look, if I have a moan at you, just say, Dad, it's my hobby, shut up, do you know what I mean? And they go, and I go, no, tell me, if I have a moan at you, just say, Dad, it's my hobby, shut up, and tell me straight, because I wasn't as good as either of them, do you know what I mean? I used to run around that pitch and give it my hand, but I couldn't kick a ball in a straight line, do you know what I mean? I wasn't the best of footballers, but if I could have been as good at boxing as I was at good at any of the sports I was at boxing, I had to pick football all day, because you know, I look at Steven Gerrard and he's like a hero man. I think he got to do, yeah, but I mean in football he got to do what I believe every young Liverpool fan, which I've always been a Red, wants to do, and he grew up and carried his captain's club, do you know what I mean?
Never.
There's a Blues, obviously you've seen that.
I was going to say, young Blues probably looking at Anthony Gordon now and thinking the same thing, you know, young Blue grow up and thinking, I must that be leading your club out, do you know what I mean? So again, for me, I look at Gerrard and think, you know, he's on everyone's lips at the minute because he's just being sacked, but I look at him and think he's already done, he's lived the dream for me, do you know what I mean? He's walked out and lived the European Cup for Liverpool, and for young kids like yourself who look at Anthony Gordon and see him scoring the winner.
Everyone dreams of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So for me, growing up, if I could have been anything, someone's come to me and said, what do you want to do, what do you want to be, I'd have been Steven Gerrard, walking my team out. So it would have been football, but I just wasn't good enough.
Now just to finish off then, Steve, you've been interviewed a million times.
Yeah.
We've started off something special here. These are young commentators coming to learn how to interview, go out, see the parents. What's your thoughts on this?
I was going to give them both 10 out of 10 until the food news. He's going to get a 7 now.
Yeah.
No, do you know what? Really good. And I said to you, you've got to be confident. if you're sitting there asking me a question, you're going, I'm going to think, you know what I mean? But you go to me, what do you think of your last fight? I'll be like, yeah, let's go fight, you know what I mean? If you're authoritative with your questions and your confidence, then I'll be the same when I reply to you, do you know what I mean? Just be confident, all you're going to get is an answer, and the answer's going to be similar no matter what.
Yeah.
Fantastic. There we go. Look at this we go. Brilliant. Thanks very much, Steve. Honestly, once I asked you, you came in, you thought it was a great idea, and you've been absolutely brilliant. You've answered every question. The lads have done perfectly well. So there you go. We're ending the show now. We'll be back again tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. I've got a guest, Kevin Moore, referee at Grassroots. It's a very interesting show. You've got to tune into it. I was interested in what he had to say, and Steve's talked about football. We talked about boxing tonight, and we've had a great show. We'll be back tomorrow at 7. Myself, Mal Lee, Steve Smith,
Dan
and Jayden.
We'll see you tomorrow at 7. Have a great night. Good night.